TJIF.
Yes, sir.
All good. All right.
Yeah, we're live. We're live, guys. I can see that we're live on YouTube now. Yes, sir. Oh man, thank you guys, man. Appreciate you guys coming in and helping to get us in the right direction, man. Appreciate you guys, man.
So I'm gonna play the intro real quick.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Savon Smith. I'm Woodley Kelly. I'm Edwin Bogan. Our seminar is brought to you by www.foundersplayers.org. Please donate at our PayPal link on our website or at our Cash App at #FoundersPlayers24 or sell SamonSMI@gmail.com. For your donation, we are offering 20% discount of your stay at Founders Players Home Away from Home in Columbus Heights, Costa Rica, Jamaica. Treat yourself to a well-deserved vacation with your 20% discount on your stay at our property. Please share our organization and property with your family and friends. Book with us. About us. We are an organization created to teach financial literacy to children and adults. Our seminars will educate people in areas such as managing credit, making investments, buying a home, life insurance. We want to use these financial seminars to educate people who would otherwise not learn about these crucial topics. This is the home located in Ocean Rios, Columbus Heights, the home away from home. A private inside condo overlooking the beautiful bay of City Beach. A 2-bedroom furnished apartment with kitchen, living room, and private balcony. Included are great amenities such as a gym, Wi-Fi, and household essentials. The area. Take a few minutes drive to the main Georgia Mall. Visit the beach at the bottom of the hill and experience the casual and fine dining of Food and Buffet Margaritaville restaurant. Take the time and read a few of our testimonials at the bottom of our Airbnb. Work with us. Thank you, everyone. Supported, founded, players.
Okay, we're back.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome, everyone. Appreciate everyone. I'm Savon Smith.
I'm Woodley Calix, aka Rod.
I'm
Avante.
I'm Evan Frank Quill.
I'm Big Marv St. Cyr.
Boy, that boy loved that Big Marv, I tell you, boy. Yo, can't shed that name, man.
That's who I am, man. I'm the
Big Marv.
I know, right? Big Marv. Well, for our audience out there, we want to thank you guys for being here. Today's topic is time management. and hopefully we're able to provide some good insight on time management. And for those of you out there on YouTube, you know, if you don't mind sharing and asking any questions or any information that you would like to share with us about time management, well appreciated.
Absolutely. I don't know who wants to take the lead, but I'll tell you one of the things that I do in terms of time management. If is that all right? That I kind of share some things I do, or at least one thing.
Well, we'll definitely like you to take the lead and share
right.
it with us.
Okay. For me, I think a lot of times, you know, we got a lot of things in our mind. A lot of, you know, if you're a parent, husband, business, you know, work, whatever it may be, I think we've got a lot of things that are in our minds all the time. And something simple that I do is really just, you know, I set and forget. Meaning, like, if there's appointments or certain things, to-dos I need to do, I've got an app on my phone, I think it's called Checklist, and I just really, and it has an alarm feature to it as well. I really try not to remember too many things. I try to keep my mind as clear as possible for any ideas and things that I could do to further myself. And just the details in terms of like the action plan, I just throw that in the phone. Like if I have an appointment, I just throw it in the phone, set the reminder up for it, and forget about it. If there's something I need to do, somebody I need to call, or, you know, just something I need to look into, I put it in the phone reminder and forget about it. And I think that, you know, to be effective, I mean, for me, I have found that the less I have to remember about dates, details, to do things, the more effective I am in terms of kind of coming up with ideas in terms of how do I further this, or, you know, how do I, you know, do something over here, or, you know, just spend time with the family, you know, because my mind's not constantly worried about, oh man, do I have an appointment here? Do I have an appointment there? So I kind of, you know, when the phone rings, that's when I know, oh, okay, I got an appointment then, you know, and I look into it and I say, oh, okay, great, no problem. And I use the what's that called? The snooze. You know, if I'm in the midst of something, I'll use that snooze button, you know, 30 minutes, or I'm like, okay, well, I already took care of that. I can dismiss that, or I'm not going to have to take care of that until tomorrow. So then I just hit the snooze button for a day. So for me, it's rather simple, but, you know, sometimes we use our phone, we use everything, but we don't use that certain features of our phone. You know, we watch videos, watch movies. I mean, we're doing everything other than, you know, actually utilizing the phone at times to be able to help us in terms of time management, planning out our day and so forth. So I do a lot of that with my phone. I just kind of plan out, okay, what's tomorrow going to look like? Who do I need to talk to? And when do I need to talk to them? Or a day or a week from now or a month from now. It just all depends. And I kind of set that up and I just forget about it. After that, I don't even think about it anymore once I put it down. So I try not to carry too many things in my mind. And so, you know, I don't know how other people do it, but for me, that I found that to work best.
Yeah, well, I agree with what you said, and you know that's good that you do that. But anyone want to jump ahead? Because one thing I like to do is take notes, so I don't mind being the third person to comment on time management.
Well, I guess I have to get, be on top of it now. Luckily, I'm starting back work on this week coming up, so I really got to be on top of everything. Being unemployed, I was, learning. I was taking online classes, and then doing, being part of Founding Players. And now, going back to work, it's going to be a little bit challenging where I'm not going to be able to make some of these, meetings. But I guess, being in, staying, communication is key. So everybody's on the same page. If I'm not there, we all, still try to do, keep, try to stay on top of, what I need to do for the team and for, our partnership. So, Yeah, like you said, a lot of times, you have to take notes because sometimes, a lot of the times I trust my memory. I have a very good memory. I kind of, lean on that too much sometimes, and then I'll forget. I'm like, oh, because I know, like I lean on that too much. So I need to like probably start like having a schedule where, I start writing things down too, because I usually work like 12, 14 day hours. Or yeah, 14 hours a day, 16 sometimes. And then when I get home, I'm like tired and and I'm like trying to get, to trying to get to certain things that I got to do. So it's gonna be, kind of challenging, well, thank God, I'm back working again. But at the same time, I know it's gonna be just add more on my plate of what I need to do to try to stay on top of things.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Marv, what do you,
Yeah. So the timing of this conversation is
any
very.
tips, Marv?
Mhm.
I was gonna
Go
say,
ahead. Sorry about that.
yeah, for me, it's just really identifying whether I'm procrastinating or not, right? Because like you just got to get through the task. Like you got to get through certain things. So, perfect example, like in my job is very, um, I wouldn't say rigid, but there's, like there's certain ways, certain tasks that I have to accomplish in a certain manner. Um, but it's also, I have to be very flexible where I might be working with, because I work with individuals. So I might be working with one individual, have to shift gears, work with another individual, have to document, have to do a lot of different things. With assisting Savan with the flyer, he needed a flyer. I knew what I had to do was going to take, a couple of hours. So, prioritizing, not putting things on the back burner, I just stopped what I was doing really quickly because I knew what would take the most amount of time. Doing that flyer was going to be really quickly. So I was able to just bang that flyer out and get back to doing what I had to do. So prioritizing, like you said, Evan, not procrastinating, but also identifying what's the easiest task to accomplish first. I think that works well with time management because if you don't understand or if you don't prioritize what's easy and try to get that done, it goes on the back burner. Then by the time you're done with an arduous task, it then becomes, you're fatigued, mentally fatigued, physically fatigued, and you're not able to do it. So for me, just kind of being able to identify the easiest thing, get that done, while still chipping away at other things, so.
Okay.
And I'll add to that too. One of the things, in addition to, utilizing my phone just to more or less not have to remember dates, times, or things of that nature, or appointments. I think one of the things, and speaking to what Marv was saying was waking up early for me. I found that to be sometimes beneficial. Like if there's a lot I need to get done, I'm usually at my freshest point in the morning time. You wake up, you're kind of like, you're operating on all cylinders. You're not dragging from the day or from all the things that, came throughout that day. So for the most part, I can make a lot of headway in that morning part of the day, whether it be from 4 to 6 a.m. or 6 to 8 a.m., but, you make a lot of headway. And you'll be surprised of how much stuff you can get done within that small period of time because you've got total focus. Typically, kid is sleeping, most other people, you know what I mean? Like they're sleeping, so you can make a lot of headway. Now, at some point, you got to make up for that time. For me, I got to make up that time, so whether that means that day I'm going to go to sleep a little earlier to kind of make up for that time that, I had to wake up early. But I typically find the morning time as being the optimal time for me to get done a lot of things, especially if I know that, the next few days, there's a lot of things I need to cover, so you're right about that. And then, another thing I do is I shut down like any sort of social media, put my phone on airplane mode. I'm not a social media guy, so I don't get any bings, dings, anything like that. So for the most part, it's just me and the work, the task at hand that needs to get accomplished. And there's no, distractions. There's no interference. There's nothing I need to worry about. And so you don't need, when you stop and think about it, whatever it is that you need to get done, especially when it comes to administrative work, paperwork, things of that nature, you don't really need that much time. It takes that much time when you get all the distractions with it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I got to stop. I got to tend to this person, or I got to answer this email or that, this, that, and the other. But if you really stop thinking about it, the work itself is probably not much more than the time it seems to take you. You know, I mean, if you just total focus on it. So that's just that. And then I don't answer my emails like, you know, I'll wait. Like if somebody sends me an email, I don't feel like I need to answer an email. If you send me an email late in the evening, I'll answer it tomorrow morning. When I'm fresh, you know, man, got a clean set of eyes, I can see what you wrote, I'll answer that email. So I don't feel the need to like answer the email immediately as you send it. And so I know sometimes people are like, man, you didn't get my email last night? I'm like, yeah, I got it. I answered it this morning. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so, you know, it's just kind of one of those things where I think you need to prioritize, like, when you're going to do certain things, you know. So whether it's like, okay, anything past 10 o'clock, I'm really typically not answering, you know. That's going to be tomorrow morning for the most part. Put my phone on airplane mode every night. I even unplug the internet. Believe it or not, I don't even sleep with the internet on. Wi-Fi, like I'm totally dark. You know what I mean? I go totally dark, and then the next morning when I wake up, plug everything back on, fresh set of eyes, I'm ready to rock and roll.
So, question of
All right,
you say you turn everything off, airplane mode and stuff like that. Hasn't anyone ever brought to your attention that let's just say a family member, close friend, hey, you know, they might have an emergency that they cannot reach you?
My wife says that. Suki says that. She's like, well, what if your mom, she said that. She was like, well, what if, you know, you find out your mom, this, that, and that. I was like, well, listen, anybody who has an emergency, and trust me, I got 2 kids out there. One's in Colorado College, one is in LA now. If you got an emergency, like, whatever, 2, 3 in the morning, I'm probably not the first one you're calling. You got to call either the police, 911, or, you know what I mean? I'm probably not the first one. So I'm probably not going to be able to do anything for you at the time that you call me. Now, when I wake up the next morning and I find out, but I'm also going to be in a better state to deal with any sort of, you know, drama, trauma, grief. You know, I'm in a better state at that point in time when I wake up in the morning time than as if I was dealing with it at the time that you call me, you know, like in the middle of the night, you know. So I go completely dark, man. I've been doing this for years now. It's just completely dark.
That is going dark, bro.
And that's just that.
All right. Well, to jump in and just to add before I add my thoughts on my time management, to add to what you just said, Evan, when I was married for the 18 years that I was married for, okay, I can understand what you're saying, because let's just say my son, and I also saw this within the program from other parents, that if you couldn't find dad, you got to reach mom. You know, so if it was that important, mom would wake up dad. You know, so it's not a bad thing that you set that standard, you know, because if it is important, you actually can be reached, especially if you have another half. If it's that important, they will get to your mom. There's a reason why they have a mom and a dad, you know, and they know you. If your kids know you, they will probably reach mom, you know. So again, all you did was you set a standard of who you are. You know, so that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing, because you're being very productive. All right. So for me, as far as time management, how I manage my time. Well, lately, I mean, with the COVID and thing, you know, I still try my best to manage it, but we're not at work, you know. But when I'm at work, my calendar has to be filled. So I manage my day and my week and month and year. So I take my calendar in my phone, as a matter of fact, both of my phones, and I write in every appointment, every opportunity that we have, every event that we plan out, it's all on my calendar. My 2019 calendar was filled. If you go backwards to when we started the program, my calendar, my Google Calendar has the information of everything that the organization has done. My 2020 calendar right now, with the rest of the year still not finished, is filled to this day. December has things that was supposed to be done. And to me, that was a beautiful thing to get up every day and to know what you set out, not just this week or this month or this year, but years in advance. All of our calendar goes 5 years, 10 years. It goes way out. You could set appointments from now until whenever. So when they talk about a business
Right.
plan, this is how I ran Savant's Academy. It was always planned out. There was no events that was not in that calendar. And that's some great time management that I can say that I'm proud to have done over the years. You know, and when it comes to, you know, looking at the government, they have to plan years in advance. Regular companies have to plan years in advance. So I'm running a company. So if I'm not planning years in advance, then I'm going to fail. As a businessman, I'm going to fail. Because if I'm not doing the same thing that the successful business owners are doing, you shall fail. So I developed that time management through our board meetings that we had. Our monthly board meetings organized our lives. It organized the organization and it organized our lives as well. So not only was I doing that in business, personally, I do that. You know, and we all love sports. Let's use a sports organization, for instance. They set their schedule with sponsors years in advance. If they need assistance for 2025, they may have to do it from now. This is how important time is. Right now, we're in this COVID situation. And from when March, we've been going through what we're going through, and we're in August, and we're still going through it. The time is moving. Before we'll be in December, before we'll be in 2021. This is how fast time's moving. You know, so, you know, I just love the fact that I was able to manage my time, because even now with this COVID situation, it is a difficult thing to deal with. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, because I'm not used to being home. I like to manage my time to go do something, you know, and it is kind of put a little damper in your days sometimes when you're not going, because you're used to going and managing your time. It kind of feel like a waste of time when you have to sit and wait. And I'm not a person that loves to sit and wait. So I can say that running Savant's Academy has really helped me to manage my time. And with time comes production. With management of time comes production. So by me setting calendars for years in advance, what I recognized was when I got up in the morning, the seconds matter, the minutes matter, and the hours matter. And throughout that 24-hour day, I know I accomplished everything that I had on my calendar. And I always look forward to the next day.
Yep.
So, let me ask you a quick question, Savant. Savant, let me ask a quick question, Rod, before you jump in. Do you have it like on your phone, the calendar, or do you have it like, you know, written out, displayed? Like, for instance, you see how like, you know, like a whiteboard, or how do you do it to be
All
able,
right.
because some people need to see the visual. Sometimes for me, I need to see the visual as well as I need to be reminded through my phone. But like in the phone, once I set it, I forget it. But there are other things that I really need to see the visual. Like every day I need to understand, okay, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or, you know, this, that, and the other. So I'm just curious, how do you do it?
Well, I personally didn't put up a visual in my room. We do have an office, and in the office we have that visual. But I didn't, because I live 45 minutes away from the city, which is where the office is. You know, we actually have the recreation center,
Okay.
and then we have the office, the actual office. So we had two facilities that we could utilize, as well as my home. What I did was I used the Google Calendar, and it was right on my phone, and I managed it that way. But in the actual office, we did what you're doing by putting up a visual. So now the president of the organization, they used to say, hey, Savon, don't forget this appointment. Once they realized that Savon don't forget no appointment, the calendar is there for their visual. Yeah, not my visual.
Right.
Then it became, we know Savon has done that. We don't even have to ask him. We're just doing it for records. He has records,
Gotcha.
but this is the backup records. When you go to our office, we have files from when the program got started in the office. The same way lawyers do when they have to go to 2012 to go look for something. That's how Savon's Academy was built. It's in the office, in folders
Gotcha.
after folders after folders. Management, straight management. Any kid that's been in our program can be found. It could be 20 years ago in the office. Same thing with the founding players and the subscriptions. If I want to get the subscriptions to the number of parents and kids that's been through the program, I can actually go to the office, pull files, and start calling people. That's management. I don't
Right.
get the opportunity a lot of times to
Rod, you
speak on
want to
that.
say something?
Huh?
Oh no, continue, Savon. No, continue.
I was gonna say I don't get the opportunity a lot of times to speak on a lot of those things that's been implemented in Savon's Academy, because I am a behind the scenes person. I am a person who keeps a lot of things to myself, even though I'm a talker. I don't really like to do a lot of talking about things that I've implemented, but they are there. Foundation is very, very important to me, and it is there. Helps me to manage my
Yeah.
time wisely.
Gotcha.
So one more thing. So Rod,
Mhm.
Rod, people always get, I think some people get the wrong idea when they feel like I'm coming at them a certain way. It is because it was done unto me to make me this way. So I'm so organized more than anybody could ever know. And Marvin has been my friend for years, know me a lot more than Ivante. And I'm sure, 100% sure that they didn't even know that was that was like that about me. I promise you. That is something that I developed, that I had to change because I was running a business that I don't talk about. And now I have the opportunity to share it because of talking about time management.
Yeah, I remember when the COVID first started.
Good deal.
We had a. Would you say, Avante? Well, you Savon brought up, the COVID. Even though it's bad situation, but you have to turn something bad into something good, something positive. One of the first things, we him and Ed, we had our first conference call during the COVID, being quarantined. He was like, when we go in, to this situation of being home, more times than often, our goal was to, come out of it better from, how we were before the COVID. So we all agreed upon where we all signed up for an online class to better ourselves and, try to help the business. So this whole time, better, time management. It's like, what are you going to do with this time? Now you got more time now you got time to kill. What do you plan on doing? Read books, work on yourself, work on your family. And one of the things that we did was take an online class. And, dude, I've been so busy, since my 20s, that, dude, I haven't been taking notes or in class since like, what, late 90s, early 2000. It was kind of, funny to me now. I'm back in class, taking an online class. Think about it. You by yourself. You got to push yourself to sit in front of that computer and take notes. And I got notes on top of notes. Dude, like, I'm gonna show you. I got him sitting right next to me. I was like, I was even drawing them down. I was drawing stuff. I got notes on top of notes from taking my online class. And I would be sitting there. It'll be like 2, 3 in the morning, sending notes to these guys. Like, hey, guess what I just learned? Da 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 da. Because we were trying to make ourselves better. And when I found out about Zoom, I didn't know how to use Zoom. Ed was the technical guy. And a few weeks later, I'm running the Zoom, teaching these guys what I had learned. Is because we figured out a way to better ourselves. Managing our time to like they said, let's come out of the COVID being smarter and better. From how from before we went into the quarantine. So I'm very happy, even though the COVID really sucked, man. But you got to turn the negative into a positive somehow. So I've learned a lot. The time wasn't wasted. We talk all the time, and we have gotten better in certain situations, and I'm very proud of the stuff that I've learned. Now I've got people contacting me. I was on the phone with a buddy of mine. We used to be inventory managers and supervisors in retail years ago, and I told him about the online class I was taking, and he got excited because I know he has a skill set. I said, dude, this thing has to deal with numbers, and that's what we used to do. And I showed him, and he's like, yo, dude, we gotta do a Zoom, man. I want you to teach me what you know and send him the video so he could learn it. We could try to do it together. So I'm trying to spread the knowledge of what I've learned to help people around me that I know have the mindset and are like-minded that want to do better for themselves,
Look,
Gotcha.
I'll add. I mention a lot of things to these guys based off of what I've learned from my lawyer, from other people in the organization, from parents, from friends, and even from you, Evante, and from Marvin before I met Rod. And I implement what I learned over the years because you never want to waste time not listening. So a lot of times people may say, oh, Savon can talk. But I also know how to listen. Because if there's something that's going to benefit all of us, and you guys want to get my attention to get me to listen, I'm going to listen, but sometimes people will stay quiet because I'm talking. But at the end of the day, all you have to do is say, hey, I want to say something, because a lot of times I'm sharing my knowledge, and sometimes I feel like my knowledge is too much for people sometimes, because I think a lot of people don't spend the time to listen. Like we spoke about even with the videos and things like that, they have to be shorter because most people have that short attention span and things like that, which is true. I remember fundraising, and it's like you have a second to catch people's attention. I remember putting on canvas Jacoby Neath, Wake Forest University, and people are approaching you. And again, it says Jacoby Neath, Wake Forest University. And they said, who is that? Where does he go to school? But it's right there in writing. visual. So a lot of times you'll be surprised. People don't take the time to even pay attention or listen. And I know everyone is not like that. And this is not for everyone, but majority are. There's a reason why we take surveys, because surveys actually prove the amount of people that make mistakes or the amount of people that are successful. If you take a survey about a marriage and the success in the marriage or the negative in the marriage, the survey actually tells you how many people is thinking this and how many people is thinking that. Those things actually matter. So now when I'm structuring my life, it's
Right.
going to be based off of what majority is doing if it's successful, or what majority is doing if it's negative. You know, so a lot of times, man, time management is also should be taken in consideration when you're wasting time thinking that I'm not going to listen to that. It's all about me. I don't care what you say. You'd be surprised how all of those things goes into time management and wasting time. Believe it or not.
No question about that. No question
Yeah.
about that. I think,
And I'll end it
and
and I'll
probably
end it with this,
Mark.
Avante. Let me end it with this. And I'm saying that because I'm not saying I don't want to repeat myself, but if I go the extra mile to to do a beautiful painting of the Twin Towers, and you're asking me what are those? Makes no sense. A waste of time for me to answer you.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree 100%. And I think for me it's understanding what the vision is, in terms of your time management. I mean, because like your focus can go everywhere, and people can be like, well, I need you to do this, or I want you to do this, and I want you to help me out with this. But, I mean, you have to know and have a set vision for what it is that you need to accomplish. Now, along the way, if I can help you out, fine, that's great. But I'm still on my way. You know what I mean? I don't ever come off the path of where I'm headed to be like, all right, well, let me take a left turn here and let me take care of this, and then take another right turn here and take care of this. Before you know it, you've lost your way. You don't even remember where you were headed anymore. It's like, oh man, where am I going again? Because you stopped here and stopped there, and so it's very important in terms of having that set vision, which you had like with Savant's Academy, which Marv had with, his dojo. It's here's my set vision, and then, in the course of that, I'm gonna, obviously get some help from here, help from there, and I'm also gonna help some other people too to get what they want and so forth. I think it was Zig Ziglar, in fact, that said he had this line. Zig Ziglar's, professional speaker. He's since passed away, but he had this line. He said, if you can help enough people get what they want, eventually you get what you want. And for me, that's always been my thing. It's like, it's a win-win situation. I try to look at, okay, based on where I'm headed, and I see where this person is headed, what can I do for us to be in a win-win situation, and we both end up where we want to be, But you can't make that mistake of saying, all right, I'm going to help this person out, but that's not even on your track. It's not on your path at all. You know what I mean? Like, this person is totally left field. And if you go and try to help that person out, you might find yourself wasting a lot of time and falling off track of where you need to go. So part of time management is understanding your vision, understanding the people around you, whether or not that's beneficial to helping achieve your vision, but then also at the same time, how are you helping them achieve what they want to achieve too as well at the same time? You know what I mean? So it's got to be that sort of like reciprocal relationship. So like I said, when I came across, Marvin reached out to me and was talking about founding players, I was like, oh, that's in line. I always like, being helpful. If there's something I know, I can help the youth. You know, Savon, I know you've been doing this for a while, so I'm like, all right, he's committed. You know what I mean? So it's not a situation where it's like, you know, you start putting out the help on somebody, and then they turn around, you know, I don't really want to do that anymore, you know? But you done invested all this time already for them, and now they don't want to do it anymore, you know? So 10 years, I know you committed, man. So I'm not even worried about, you know, you coming and saying, yeah, man, thanks, but, you know, I don't even want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily worried about that. And so that's one of the things you need to be very cautious of when, you know, you're doing something and then you see somebody else who's doing something and you're like, oh, man, you know what I mean? I'd like to be a part of that, you know, be a part of that success too as well and help them or help her get to that successful point. You got to make sure that they're in it. You know what I mean? 100%, because it's their vision, it's their dream. And so, but you don't want to spend the time on somebody else, and then yet they turn around and say, man, I don't want to do that anymore. And, you know, and I share this because there have been times where that happened early in my life where, you know, you start helping somebody out and then you realize, man, they don't even want to do it anymore. And then it becomes your thing. And it's like, yo, but this is not me. This is not my, you know what I mean? This was your vision. How come you don't want to do it anymore? And they just don't want to do it anymore. And then now you find yourself, you know, trying to figure out, well, man, what was I doing again? You know what I mean? What was my vision? What was my plan? And so, you know, you got to be very cautious about who you decide to really invest your time into. You know what I mean? And that speaks to a larger point about time management. You know, I mean, watching your time, watching your conversations, who you spending that time with, who you having the conversations with, is it really productive? For instance, I'll give you another example. You know, the topic of today, you know, is time management. But I think a lot of people, you know, with COVID and, you know, the racism issue in America, which has been going on since forever, right? And so, you know, there are people who, you know, that's where they spend their time. You know, they do a lot of activism work. It's always, you know, about, you know, justice and racism and this, that, and the other. And that's great, you know, because I think the world needs a little bit of everybody. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to say that, oh, well, you know, this person here is better than that. But no, I think the world needs a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? And we need to address everything, and everything does matter. But at the same time, you got to understand which one's your lane. Is that your lane? Because if that's your lane, then, you know, you need to be there. But if it's not your lane, you got to let those who do that well stay in that lane. Because I can find myself, I start talking about, you know, join the activism organization. I'm doing Black Lives Matter. I'm talking about, you know, racism, this, that, and that. But then is that my vision? You know what I mean? Is that going to take me to where it is I'd like to go? And I'm not really, you know, by way of activism, I wouldn't call myself like an activist by way of that. You know what I mean? I don't really spend too much time in that space. But where I do spend the time is I spend the time in the business world. And how do we, you know, put ourselves in a better economic, financial situation where racism, we kind of counter that, you know what I mean, with, okay, well, you know, we got the finances for this. So, you know what I mean? Like racism is partly interwoven in terms of, you know, how much access or financial capital do you have? You know, because when I come in, let's say, for instance, I'm in agriculture and I want to come in and buy some, what is it? What's the one? The deer rod mowers or whatnot, you know, the deer equipment. John Deere. There you go, John Deere. If I come in, it doesn't matter if I could go to the most Confederate right wing, you know what I mean? Like, you know, they could have the Confederate flag waving out there. But when I come in and I say, listen, I want to get 7 of your John Deeres, guess what's going to happen? They're going to roll out 7 of those John Deeres for me, and they like seeing their faces. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, if I'm giving the green, they're going to deal with me one-on-one. In fact, it was Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey sat down with the KKK, broke bread with them. You know what I mean? Because he felt like, you know, there's no reason why, you know, we can't figure out some common grounds here, you know? And he was always about, Jamaican born, by the way, shout out. So for him, he was all about the business, and it wasn't about racism, this, that, and the other. He knew that if financially, if we were in a better position, economically, we were in a better position, we can trump racism. You know what I mean? Racism is a matter of like, if you don't have finances, then you got to shout and scream and march. But when you got money, you don't ever got to do that. You don't see too many Jews marching. They got the dollars. You know what I mean? They affect policy, you know what I mean, by way of their dollars. You know what I mean? You know, if they want to change something, they lobby. You know, if they want to, they control the industries, music, Hollywood, banking. I mean, so they don't ever have to march. And it's not to say that they haven't been discriminated against too at the same time. So all that to say, bring me back to the point, is time management is understanding the lane in which you're in. You know what I mean? And you can see the other lanes, but that's not your lane. And so if you understand your lane, you can manage your time better, and you can really, make some headways in terms of what you want to do.
I think another piece to time management though is understanding that you have to know when to back away as well. Because we're talking about all of this organization and all of this stuff. You can go. You're gonna exhaust yourself, man. If you run at a sprinter's pace, you can only run at a sprinter's pace for so long. It's a marathon. So you have to also be able to unplug and unwind, which is, piggybacking to what you said, Evan, in terms of shutting down. You do it a certain way, but I think it's important in terms of time management to understand that not everything is going to be done in that moment, and it's okay for it to not be done in that moment. You have to be okay with that. A lot of times we try to push. I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. I have a deadline, and then all of a sudden things, start to go downward. So just understanding that, on the flip side of things, that there is a aspect of mental health that has to be observed. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your temple. You have to be able to unplug. You have to be able to understand that, you need family time. You need, especially in this COVID, when people are isolated, you have to be able to walk away from tasks. I found myself, working extreme amount of hours where I was like, okay, you know what? You got to get up. You got to do something. You got to do something different. I had to get up, and I was like, you know what? I'm not working out like I used to because I'm stuck. I'm isolated by myself. I'm not running. I'm not doing the things that I normally do. And I'm finding myself even more busy because of all these tasks that I need to get done. So just being able to say, you know what, it's time to push away. It's time for me to take care of myself, to do certain things is important.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Marv, that's a very good
true.
point.
I agree.
That's a very good point you're making, man. Definitely, body needs rest,
The mind needs rest. The body and the mind, it's all one. You got to rest. You got to rest both.
Hey, I'll tell you guys something that I mentioned. I mentioned something to, a friend of mine. I think it was early this morning, and it referred to this analogy. Referred to a horse. That person being on a horse and going pretty fast because they like the horse. The horse will get you there. And they say I'm on a donkey because I like to think about what I do. So I said to the person, I said, okay, well, you're on the horse and you're trying to get there, because the horse is fast, the donkey's slow, but I'm on that donkey. I said, well, guess what? When I come down the street on my donkey, though, and your horse broke his leg and I get to the finish line before you, it's like, it's not how fast you going, man. You got to slow down sometimes, man, and rest, man. So it's like, it's not who started first. I mean, use Usain Bolt, for instance. You could be ahead of him, but doesn't mean you're going to get there before him. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, that rest is very, very important, because just because you're running nonstop doesn't mean you're actually going to finish more than the person that's taking his time and taking breaks.
And I can see Savon, the visual Savon passing by on the donkey, rubbing it in. I told you.
You know I would do that too. I would do that.
Gonna rub it in. Even the horse is gonna get it. I told you.
Yo, I see Rod's learning me. Rod is learning me, boy. You know
Oh
I do
man.
that.
You know how the
You know
horse,
I
what's the
do
sound
that.
that the horse make? The horse gonna look at someone and go, you know, that sound the horse make, and look at someone and be like,
Hey,
No, it'll be that donkey sound.
no,
Yeehaw!
the donkey's
Yeehaw! Be
gonna be
like,
laughing. The donkey's gonna have the Eddie Murphy laugh with him and Savant, you know, walking by. The Eddie Murphy laugh, while the horse is
but
down on his knees on his broken leg with the owner looking at Savant like this freaking guy.
oh man. Hey, honestly, that's why I take pride in making my calendar, because it actually slows you down. Believe it or not. Planning
right,
actually slows you
right,
down.
right.
Whenever you don't plan, you find yourself
right.
rushing and always trying to go back to something that you're trying to get done because you're out of time and you gotta hurry up. That's what happens. So go into what Marvin is saying. I never be rushing for anything. There's times when I'm sitting there and they're like, "Up, he's gonna do it. Don't worry. He's gonna do it. Don't worry." I've played basketball games where we're losing by 20 points in the third quarter with 1 quarter to go, and the guys are taking it easy because they know if Coach Savon ain't panicking, we gonna win.
That's true.
Yep.
Wow.
That's true.
Well, you know what? You want to cut out for a quick commercial break?
Nah, we're
Okay.
doing good. It's either we're gonna
No.
we're gonna either wrap it up or open it up to some questions out there, or that way we're not on too long.
Okay, yeah, got it. Hey, Marvin, you see any questions? You're the question guy.
No, I'm on my mobile today, man. I don't have my computer up.
Are you on your mobile? Let me double.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
look, hey, there is a question. There's a question for us. Tamoya says, how do you stay focused and not procrastinate? Evan, I'll let you answer that.
Question for us.
Well, first, I'll let you answer that first.
Okay. Good question, Tamoya. Should be winning all the game shows and the quizzes and the questions. Fastest internet out there. For me, in terms of staying focused, one of the things I do is, like I was telling earlier, while I was sharing it with the phone, is just trying to organize, plan my day, set and forget, in terms of staying focused. Waking up early, to make sure that, all right, I'm going to get through what I need to get through without the distractions, that's number one. And procrastination, can also lead to, you losing your focus. For me, I don't, when you like what you do and you enjoy what you do, procrastination kind of falls to the wayside. You know what I mean? Like, there might be things or elements of what it is. I'm like, oh man, I so don't want to do that right now. But I know to move the ball forward, to use a basketball analogy or football, to move the ball forward, I got to take care of this thing for me to get to wherever point I need to get to. So it's more about slaying the beast while it's young. Meaning, like, don't let something build up and to the point where it's like a monstrosity, and you're like, man, I got to take care of all this, that, and the other. So for me, I usually try to take care of it when it's a baby. Boom, take care of it, take care of it, move on to the next, because procrastination is really what creates the monster, right? It creates this thing where it's like, man, it's so much work now that you got to do. But if you're taking care of it while it was small and it didn't mean anything at that point in time, then there's no such thing as procrastination, So, but for me, it's pretty simple. Like I said, focus for me is more or less, I got to enjoy what I do. I got to like what I'm doing. Number one. Number two, I set and forget. Put it on the phone, set and forget. When it's time for me to go dark, I go dark. This way I wake up refreshed. No drama. And I don't watch the news, really. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of times, the news is just people tell me what's happening in the world half the time. Because, you got to think about it. Like, somebody tells you something that happened and halfway around the world, not much I could do. You know what I mean? Like, but it takes up your attention. It takes up, more of like, if I'm having a conversation about it, that's one less conversation I could be having with somebody in terms of furthering something I really want to do. And so it's kind of just, I mean, you got to pick and choose, So I don't watch the news, I don't do social media, and I go dark. And then when I wake up, I put in a couple good hours of just getting the work done, and then the rest of it, I kind of just build up momentum and just kind of, all right, we get this done, we get that done, and move forward. So, it's going to be different for everybody. To be honest, Tamoya, you're going to find that, you got to figure out what's the best system for you, given what you do and how you do it, what works best for you. Are you a morning person? Well, if you're a morning person, factor in what time works best for you, where you're going to have the least amount of distractions, get all your work done then. If you're a late night person, because there's some people who are late night people, well then, figure out what the hours are and get all your work done then. And just really minimize the distractions. Like, find some time that you're going to be free of distractions, because really the distractions that really make people end up procrastinating or taking more time than they should on anything that they're doing. So minimize the distractions, and you'll find that you can achieve a lot more and focus better as well.
All right, from me, there's another question in there, and Evan, are you seeing the YouTube?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not seeing the YouTube right now. I could log on though.
Okay.
Want me to do that?
Yeah, if you could log on, but I'm gonna answer the question very short, but then you could read Psalm's question. Psalms have a question, and then Tamoya another. And then Tamoya has another question. So let me answer Tamoya. Let me say something towards Tamoya's first question. For me, Tamoya, I'm not sure if you were on when I said about utilizing a schedule. So basically, I would say try to maybe schedule your day, schedule your week, and begin to schedule your month. But just work on scheduling, until you're able to make it permanent. It takes 3 weeks, which is 21 days, to form a good habit or to change a bad habit to a good habit, or vice versa. So if you begin to practice certain things, it can eliminate the procrastination. So for me, that's what I do. I do that within my organization, Savant's Academy, like I mentioned before. That if you go back to 2009, or 2012, you can always find records of what I did then, and I wasn't always like that, because everyone can procrastinate. I still procrastinate at times because we're not perfect. But with a schedule, you can quickly get back to norm, because you have a schedule, because you have that practice year in after year, and it becomes part of you, and it becomes permanent. Not perfect, because we aren't perfect. So I like to use the word permanent instead of perfect. Next question.
The next question is by Tamoya, or is it by Psalms? Can time management? Psalms. I got it. So can time management still set you up for the future, even when the time that you didn't use to accomplish the majority of your goals? Okay, so just so I can make sure I'm clear on that. So can time management more or less set you up for success, even if you didn't use that time to accomplish the majority of your goals? Is that what you're asking? I just want to make sure I'm clear on it. Just give me a yes.
I think with regards to that question, was what I was going to say with the first thing. You got to compartmentalize. A lot of times when people procrastinate, it's because the task just seems so big. I don't know where to begin. Like, I don't know how to accomplish that. And so when you take these tasks, like I was saying, like me doing the flyer for Spawn, right? It was quick and out the way. You got to get small victories. You got to win the battles before you win war. So, for me, I learned the hard way. So when I went to undergrad, I was a procrastinator. I wanted to hang out. I wanted everything was more pressing than me doing my papers, and I would be up 24 hours. I'd be up, late at night trying to get papers done. I mean, I banged out some good work, but it was last minute. Grad school, I took a very different approach. I wanted to be ahead of the curve. I wanted to do everything, and actually, I ended up coasting a lot more because I put all the work in at the beginning of the semester, and I was able to just kind of fly through the semesters, and get a lot done. And so I've taken that approach now with everything, like Evan said, getting an early start. You know, with COVID, there's a lot of um, you know, time by myself. I work in my studio all alone. So just being able to do the things that I need to do to get done. But to bring it back to what Sam's is saying, yeah, it's okay if you don't get it done. You're laying the foundation. You're laying down the groundwork to get the things done. And like we said, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So yeah, I'm not going to get everything that I need to get done in a day. I didn't build my karate school in a day, but I had a foundation. I had a blueprint. I had an idea, and I continued to cultivate and grow it into what it is now. And even in this time of pandemic, I'm still trying to find ways to keep it going, or trying to project and plan and do all the things that I need to do. So hopefully that answers Sam's question.
And to jump in there, Psalms, and it's something that Rod likes to say, and Rome wasn't built overnight, so I mean, you got to think about it. Like, if an ice sculpture comes up with the ice, I mean, he or she's got to chip away, and little by little, eventually you start to see what that vision that they have for that ice sculpture looks like. So, but it's not something that's going to happen instantaneously. So, you set goals up with some sort of flexibility with the goals, meaning that, okay, it's okay, I didn't get this accomplished today, but tomorrow, I got it on the list, to tackle that. Just as long as you don't let it get away from you, meaning like you don't put things like, all right, well, tomorrow I didn't take care of it. The next day I didn't take care of it. The next day, because every day that you put it off, you got to think of it like this. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger. And the least you're going to feel like not doing it. You know what I mean? The next day and the next day. So your willpower to get something done may start to lessen, if you don't start to try to tackle it one thing at a time. So, for instance, like larger goals, and I think Marv was alluding to this, you break larger goals down into little small goals, small little action steps. And so it's like somebody's trying to lose weight. Let me give you an example. Somebody's trying to lose weight. Okay, you're not going to lose 100 pounds in a week. I mean, that's just not what's going to happen. However, you could say, all right, well, I'm just going to start running at full speed for like a week. You're still not going to lose 100 pounds for a week. In fact, if you make it through the week doing that, bless you, because chances are you got to start off walking. And maybe you can't walk, beyond just your front steps. All right, but that's a start though. You know what I mean? Because your intention is, at some point, I'm going to lose 100 pounds or 50 pounds or 20 pounds, whatever it may be. So you start off, today I'm just walking my front step, and I'm going to walk right back into the house. Tomorrow, I'm going to walk to the front step, and then I'm going to take an extra step beyond that, And then the next day, maybe I'm going to walk, 10 steps behind that, So eventually, and what happens is, and I think Savon mentioned this too as well, 3 weeks, 21 days to build a habit. So what happens is you start building the habit of doing something extra each and every time, taking that first action step, because a lot of times what handicaps us is just taking that first step. That's it. You know what I mean? You take the first step, then it begets the next step, and then it begets the next step. So sometimes I'm doing something, and my intention was just to get that one thing done. But I'm like, man, I made so much headway. Let me tackle this too. Let me tackle that too. You know what I mean? So before you know it, you're handling a lot more than what you intended for, but only because you're in that rhythm, and it's okay. You know what I mean? You kind of got it down pat. You're like, all right, I can take care of this. I can take care of that. But it does start with taking that first step. So procrastination starts to wane once you take the first step. You know what I mean? Like, it's, people, when you do weights, they always say do an extra rep, just one extra rep. Why are they saying do one extra rep? They're saying do one extra rep because tomorrow, when you do one extra rep, it helps you. Now you're at a different level now. You know what I mean? You're not the same level you started. You're at a different level now. Once you do one extra rep. So it's the same thing. So with your goals, your action steps, you start off, take that first step. Then after you take that first step, take the next step. And then eventually it starts to snowball. And then you're like, oh man, you got the momentum. You got the wind to your back. And you just keep pressing forward. And then procrastination starts to fall away. It's just like fear. People fear to take the first step. But once you start to understand, all right, I'm just going to take the first step anyway. You know what I mean? Then the fear starts to dissipate. It's like, oh, okay, we took the first step, nothing happened. We good. All right, I'm taking another step. And that's just how it works. So that's what I'd say to that.
All right, and to jump in so we can move on to the next question. Even though, I've accomplished things that I've set out to accomplish, there's always opportunities to accomplish what you didn't accomplish. So just imagine you own your home and you fixed it a certain way. You thinking you got everything done that you wanted for your home. But what about remodeling? Nothing is never perfect. So we always have to continue to improve on things that wasn't so perfect back then. So there's always room for improvement.
Absolutely. Next question is Tamoya. She says, what keeps you motivated so you don't waste time? Rod, you want to handle that? What keeps you motivated?
Oh man, reaching that goals, man. What's your purpose in life? Somebody said something recently that kind of like grabbed my attention. He said that a lot of times, people wait till they get older when they feel like their time is short to want to live. A lot of times when we're young, we just think fun, whatever, and just rest. We're not like taking opportunity to like do certain things, but then wait till like we feel like, oh my God, I'm at the end of the ropes. Now they want to, live. It's like, hey, just your purpose. Like, what's your purpose like, for going to work? Or you just want to be an employee? Like, are you happy where you are in life? I'm gonna use myself as an example. I'm from, I grew up in New York, born in Haiti. I got offered a job all the way in North Dakota. I was like, North Dakota? I was like, I don't even know where it was on the map. I had to go look it up. I was like, okay. I saw the weather minus 20 degrees, this and that. And my goal in life was like to do better. I wasn't happy. I was, wanted more. Man, I packed up my car. People, friends and family telling me I'm crazy. And there's nothing to do in North Dakota. I get it. It's not fun. But it's more like, what do you want out of life? A lot of times we get so complacent and just being in the same town all our lives, being around the same environment all our lives, man. You got to explore. You just like, what the funny thing is? I gave myself a raise. Sometimes you got to give yourself a raise. You cannot wait for the company to give you a raise. You know what? That's part of time management. Okay, man, I've been here for 5-10 years. Man, I'm nowhere. I'm still at the same, position. Yeah, you got to like pick up and say, what? Maybe the town that you're in don't have the opportunity you're looking for. Put in that time and effort to see where you might need to go to get further in life. Dude, I'm the kind of person, man, I'll pack up myself and move to Africa or back to the islands in a heartbeat. I'm West Indian, man. I don't care. I'm just like that. And when people like, even Avante was like, you really in North Dakota? Yeah, dude, you got to do what you got to do, man. I did my research. What's up? I did my research. It took me about like 2 years because I listened to, friends, oh man, there's nothing up there. I missed out on bigger opportunities, because I listened to other people. And then one day I'll say, you know what, screw this, man. I'm out. Packed up myself and left. And I've been doing better. I'm traveling. I'm because of being up here, it gave me the opportunity to be able to be business partners with savant and be able to travel. I get more free time, to do what I need to do. You know, I've been to the islands multiple times. If I had like, my regular 9 to 5 back home, I'm not saying, here's the thing, I'm not saying a 9 to 5 is bad. I'm just saying everybody's different, you know. But the job that I have here, I could take off a whole month if I want. I don't have to wait a year to get time off. As long as I put in my time, whatever, I'll be like, hey, I'm taking off 2 weeks. They can stop me. I'm on a contract. So you got to choose, if you want to be your own boss, how you want things in life. You cannot complain about where you are when your life is in your own hand. You cannot just sit there and like you said, a lot of times people spend a lot of time on social media watching other people live their lives. Let that sink in. You sitting there watching somebody live their life. Is that good time management? So now when your time comes up, it's gonna be like you're gonna be looking back like, yo, dude, I don't live my life. Like, what the hell? So be very mindful about time management. Stop watching other people live their life when you're not living yours. So.
All right.
I agree with that.
Good stuff, Rod. Good stuff.
All right. So I guess what keeps you motivated? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you motivated? I'm making up words.
I want bigger and better things in life, bro. Like most everybody, man. I was there. Sometimes I look at your situation. I wasn't happy where I was. I was like, I'm out of here.
All right. Well, Ivante, I think you touched on this before, what keeps you motivated so you don't waste your time. You touched on the passion, that you may have for what it is that you're doing, or just your overall passion in life, what are your goals, your dreams, what do you want to accomplish? Those things normally keeps people motivated. So it's just a matter of putting the things that you love ahead of you and going after them.
Yes, sir. I wanted to bring this up, I don't want to be off subject, but coming up here, it kind of opened my eyes where I'm gonna give you a perfect example, right? When the boom, I came, for the oil boom, right? And I was running into a lot of companies that were like desperate for workers, right? Let's just say I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Let's just say back in New York, a starting out mechanic is probably making under 20, maybe. How much you guys think a mechanic makes back in, wherever you are right now? A starting out mechanic, like $15, $12. And then in North Dakota, starting them like $25, $30 plus, because that's how desperate they were. Even working at McDonald's, you had high school kids making like almost $20 an hour because they could not get people to work at McDonald's because the work people was making money in the oil field. I was meeting high school kids making like, over 50, 80, 60 grand right out of high school because the opportunity was here because they could not find workers. One of the highest paying Walmart is in North Dakota because they cannot get workers. So it kind of plays into the like not being comfortable and putting in the time to see, okay, is where you are right now in life, the certain place you are. Do you need to put in the time to look into, maybe you should look outside of where you are, because we get so comfortable where we are in life, man. So,
hey, speaking on what you just said, I know we're talking about time management, and this would be a topic for another day, and it's probably something that we should talk about next week. There is one thing that I personally am a little bit bothered by at times. And I know I did it. I made the move from New York, to be able to say, come to Florida and make a new life for myself here in Florida. And as a kid, I was ambitious enough to think like that because I could have easily fell victim to wanting to remain where you grew up. I think there's so much to be said about thinking outside the box and doing something different than what you're used to doing. Because when you look at the life that we're given and the time in the life, 24 hours in a day and 365 days a year. When you look at that, Ask yourself, is a year really that long? Think about it.
It's not.
Because, okay, let's say today is the day, 7 days a week. By the time you blink your eye, the week is over. So you got 52 more of those? Like, think about it. All of a sudden, you're 1 year old, then you're 2. Before you know it, you're 18. This is how fast time's going. And I think so many
Absolutely.
people, if you took a survey, so many people are wasting these precious moments in time and not putting their life, like put a visual in front of you every day that you wake up. Every morning I wake up to unexpected money will fall into my lap. Every morning I will help a lot of people. Every morning, that's always been my goal. Helping others. I don't like to do nothing and not bring somebody along with me. That's what I want my life to be. That's what I've seen from then. That's why I have kids that's playing Division I basketball, because I set my goal in front of me for them, for myself, but for them. That way, when my time expires on earth and other people are coming behind me and living, they could always remember, hey, that guy left a legacy. Time is important. Put your life ahead of you. Because 365 days? Yo, today came and went. So you're telling me 364 more of those? Yo, if I turn 18 today, you're telling me that I could blink my eyes and I'm 19 tomorrow? That's what it sounds like. That's what it feels like. So,
Right.
You know what just happened?
Right.
You know what just happened?
What just
When
happened?
the quarantine first happened, we thought it was gonna be a few weeks. Now we're a few months into it. It's like we just thought it was gonna be like, oh, temporary. Now temporary has turned into the new normal. I'm like, no. Well, so I don't want to get off subject, but time does fly. We take we take it for granted.
It does. It does. That's why I try not. There's many times I say to people, stop making excuses. Many times. You'd be surprised. I've been in so many board meetings from the beginning of when I started my program, and they knew that I wanted to be successful. And I made so many mistakes where I used but, if, hands, and when, and they told me to throw those things in the garbage can. There's no if, hands, or buts to anything that you want to do in life. It's either you're going to do it or you choose not to. So when someone is saying something to me, I should not reply but. But we're all used to doing that. It's part of our vocabulary. We do it. But the more and more we practice, I'm not saying we can never use but sometimes we're using but in a way where it affects us. And we should not use it in that way. And a lot of us do it, believe it or not. Because I used to use but this, but that, but what if this happened? This might happen. I'm like, yo, you don't know that? Try another approach. Because, boy, time ain't waiting for no one, man. It really ain't. And then the next thing that I'm mind-boggled about is, yo, let me go party because tomorrow ain't promised. But hold up. If there's 365 days in a year and I keep on waking up and I'm doing this for a while, how much time am I wasting? All because I'm living for yesterday and today. Like, I can still party today. 7 days in a week, I can party today. And I can say, I ain't doing that crap tomorrow. I'm still partying. there's a limit on everything. I don't got to party I don't got to be doing all of these things because I'm living life. Yo, you live life by structuring life.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think we've all talked about that, touched on that. Discipline factors into that time management as well. You know, you got to have some sort of organization, some sort of structure, some sort of guidelines in terms of how you're going to live your day. That factors into time management. And you got, and you know, you have to also make it clear that your time is important. And your time is money. I'll be honest with you. I mean, your time is money. So invest your time with things, people, events that matter to you, right? Because too often, you know, we'll find that we're investing our time in things that don't even matter to us. Like we're just there because everybody else is there. You know what I mean? But you really don't have any interest in being there. So it's just kind of like you're wasting your time, you know? So you really got to look at, you know, okay, the things I'm doing, the events I'm part of, and the people I'm associated with, do they matter? Is that something I really care about? You know, and if you care about it, then all them other things start to fall to the wayside in terms of procrastination, in terms of, you know, well, you're not doing it. Because the people you care about, I assume, care about you too as well, and will hold you accountable. You know, say, hey, man, I thought you said you was going to do such and such. You know what I mean? How come you're not doing that? Because that's the true people in your life. You know what I mean? They're always going to hold you accountable and say, man, I thought you said this, that, and the other. And so, you know, some of those things that we struggle with often, like procrastination, time management, and various other things, you don't need to look any further than the things that you're doing. Are you passionate about that? The events that you're going to, do they matter to you? The people that you associated with, do you care about them? Do they care about you? You know what I mean? So once you figure out those things and you get them in line, all them other stuff I find falls to the wayside, man. You know, you can accomplish great things surrounded with the right people, doing the right things, being a part of the right events that matter to you. And you can accomplish some great things, you know, but it's really about putting that into place. Because, you know, if you don't put that into place, then you're going to find that there's certain areas in your life that kind of drag, or certain things are not getting done. And, you know, but it's only because those three things, you're not in the right environment. Simple as that. So when you talked about, Savon, leaving the hometown where you grew up in, yeah, I think that everybody should do that, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody should continue to live in their hometown. Now, I'm not saying you can't come back to your hometown, but I don't think anybody should grow up, stay, never venture out, broaden their horizons, see some different things, see some different cultures, see some different regions, whether it be domestic or internationally, and think that you got to figure it out. Because I'm saying the world is much larger than the block that we grew up in. You know what I mean? And so there are a lot of people doing a lot of great things, but you'll never meet them. You know what I mean? Especially if you grew up in a block that maybe they're not doing some of those things. But how are you gonna, you know, ever get started, you know, and really find your passion if you don't go out and really seek it? And so, you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, I think sometimes I hear people say, oh man, you know what I mean? You leaving where you grew up, you're not keeping it real. It was kind of one of those things like, you are keeping it real by leaving. You know what I mean? Because you can't, if you decide to come back, you know, you bring in something back more than what you left with. You know what I mean? Like you're not the same individual that grew up in that same environment, because now you've been planted in different soils. You had different ideas. People talk to you about different things. You mix with different people, different cultures. So now you come back and you got a lot of different ideas that you can implement in the same area. Because, you know, when you grow up in an area, you can get stuck in a rut. And, you know, you're just doing the same thing that everybody else before you did. And you don't realize that time is just passing you by, but you're not really accomplishing much. You're just spending time, but you're not accomplishing much. So you're not very productive. So I truly believe when you get outside of your element, which is something I'm always trying to do, don't stay comfortable. right? Because comfortability can lead to complacency. So don't stay comfortable. Get out, meet with different people. And I don't have to agree with everybody. I mean, like I meet with different people, get different ideas, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I see how that works, and and the less comfortable I am, that means I'm growing, I'm stretching, and if I stretch, I grow. That means that somehow I'm going towards the direction I need to go into, but don't get too comfortable. Making that move to North Dakota, that couldn't have been comfortable, Rod. I know that
Nah,
for certain. Dale,
nah.
making a move to Florida at your age, that couldn't have been comfortable. You know what I mean? Marv, you traveling to Baltimore, Maryland, then eventually down Florida, then back up to North Carolina. None of those moves were comfortable, period. But it was what you felt like you needed to grow to do in order to grow and be a much better person and actually pursue the dreams that you had. So never get too comfortable, because comfortability can lead to complacency. And then when you start getting complacent, you're not really getting much done at that point.
And
Absolutely.
to add to what you're saying, Ivante, this is another important thing that people don't take notice of as well. As you said, you moved away, and you'll sometimes come back to your community that you grew up in. Here's the thing: we all grew up in New York. All of us that's on this right now, we grew up in New York, and New York provided all of us with the opportunity to meet all walks of lives, because everyone, I think, lives in New York. And even with that being said, and me and all of us here knowing how to actually deal with different race and different walks of lives and different attitudes and different everything, we deal with all of that in New York. And we still do not have the mindset that we wanted to remain there. Because even though New York provided us with the opportunity to be diverse, we still wanted to go see something else. We still wanted to venture out, because the world is not New York. It gave us the opportunity, yes, to meet all walks of lives. We all played sports, and by God, there's a lot of different type of people on those teams, and we learned a lot about different cultures, and we still wanted to go see something else. And to add to that, when you go, say, North Dakota, and you're working out there, but when you were in New York and a home costs 350,000 US dollars in New York, and you're busting your butt getting up in the morning, and by the time you come home it's night, and you're so tired working hard just to pay that $350,000 mortgage for that home you have. And when you take a leap of faith and you go out to North Dakota, and that same $350,000 home, you done bought it for $100,000. That's a big saving. And this is the opportunity that a lot of people don't provide themselves
Absolutely.
with. There is 50 states in the United States of America. There's a big world out there. And not every place things cost the same. So a lot of times, if you don't look at opportunities outside of the box, you're selling yourself short. You're making your life more difficult, sticking where you're used to, sticking to what you're used to, spending the rest of your life paying a mortgage that you may lose. They may take it from you. You don't even own the home, and they can take that thing from you anytime when you have such a high mortgage. Now, there is people that can live there because they have the money. But for a lot of people who can't do it, they stick around because they see somebody else is doing it, and they're complacent and following and trying to live there because they're comfortable. Whereas if you take that leap of faith, that same $350,000 home is bigger in North Dakota.
And I want to add to that. Maybe it could be like
Right.
the next subject, one of our future subjects. Give yourself a raise, man. I think a lot of people ever think like that. They was waiting for somebody or company to offer them the raise or give them the raise. No, there are ways to give yourself a raise in this world. So by relocating is one of the easiest ways to do it. because in certain areas, you know, they'll pay you more for your skill set than where you are back home. And like you said, your money goes further in certain areas. Well, a lot of people I think know that, but giving themselves a raise, I don't think a lot of people think like they do. Oh, that state did that state that without even doing the research, you know, because the skill set that you have, there might be a demand for it. It's crazy. The craziest thing I ever seen in North Dakota was I went to a KFC, closed. Think about it. One of the biggest franchises in the world, closed. Note on the door, couldn't find workers. I was like, what? Went to a McDonald's. They only open 9 to 5. McDonald's. Why? They couldn't get workers. I was like, whoa. It was all over CNN, but nobody was coming out here because, you know, they didn't. Dude, it was raining money up here. You know, now the boom is going this and that. It might, you know, not a boom, but, you know, it might get busy again. But that, like, my point is, it was, like you said, man, don't get complacent, man. Get up and, you know, uplift yourself, man. And, you know, you could do better. You can do better. You know, Avante, I think you're right, man. I think people should, like, you know, not live their most or all their life where they're born, you know, the time that they're born in.
Hey, Marv said let him back in. I don't know. I didn't even know he was out.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice that. Okay. I was wondering why he was quiet.
No, you're right, Rod. No, you're definitely right, Rod. I mean, you know, you can definitely give yourself a raise by just moving to a lower cost of living area, you know, and you'd be surprised of, you know, how much further that money goes, you know, in terms of what you can do now with that money. You can invest it in different things that you want to do, and you're not just, you know, just working just to be working, but you never have time just to be able to, you know, spend the money or, you know, advance yourself, you know. So, you know, yeah, you're right. I remember growing up in Spring Valley where at the time, Spring Valley, the least amount that you could spend on a house was like $400,000, and that was on Union Road, and I didn't really think that Union Road was like, you know, was a great area. I was just okay, yeah, but yeah, so it was $400,000, and then we looked at the Poconos, you know, that area, and it was less than $100,000 to get a house that's about the same size, sometimes even bigger, you know, than what we were getting in Spring Valley. So we just looked at that like, man, let's just do it. We didn't have anybody up there. We didn't have any family. But it was just like, man, there's such a cost difference that, you know, we'll make it work. We'll find a way, one way or another. You know what I mean? So, and we hadn't looked back since, you know. So the money that you save by not spending it, you know what I mean, or not having to spend it, I mean, that's your raise right there, but you'll be surprised at how much money you can actually save if you don't have to spend it in that way, you know? What are 3 biggest costs of areas, right? Like I said it before, where do you live? You know, so shelter, big cost. Food, another big cost, you know? And then to a lesser extent, you know, obviously your cars and clothes and this, that, and the other. But those are the 3 areas that I find most people spend the most money on, right? And systematically, meaning like, you know, you can't go a month without paying rent. I mean, like, otherwise, you know, you might find yourself on the street or you know, paying a mortgage. Well, you could probably go a month or 2 not paying your mortgage, but eventually they're gonna foreclose on you if you don't get it done, right? And then clothes and all that, your car, I mean, you know, more or less, you're going to have to take care of that. So if those are the 3 big expenditures, for me, what I've done is I look at those 3 expenditures and say, all right, well, how can I reduce those expenditures, you know, to a minimum? This way I can maximize the amount of savings I have and then decide, well, okay, what do I want to do with the savings now? You know what I mean? I got this money. I could start a business. I could do this. I can invest in this. I can invest in that. But if you find yourself like all you're doing is working to, and then, you know, I haven't even factored the kids into it because, you know, kids, that's another set, right, of monies. But, you know, if you can control those big areas, you'll be all right. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times people, you know, you get so conditioned in terms of just, well, I grew up here, I'm stay here, I'm going to do what everybody else has done. And you find yourself in a rat race that it's not even of your own. It was something that, you know, your parents had done, and brought you here. And so now my thing is, I look at it like the birds. The nest was built for you, but you're not supposed to stay in the nest forever. You're supposed to now fly the nest and find your way, you know? And so I think a lot of us need to do that too as well. And I didn't want to get off topic, but I thought that was a very important thing. And maybe that could, you know, we can, you know, table that for our next discussion, you know, really talk about, you know, how, like Rod said, you know, how to more or less give yourself a raise, or, you know, just to, you know, change your environment, change your circumstance. It's really just that simple. Period.
I think what you said speaks very highly about procrastination, right? You procrastinate when you're comfortable, you know, because it's because of comfort that you don't want to get up and do it, right? So, right, like I'll take my son for example. I'll tell him to go take the garbage out. He doesn't want to take the garbage out because he's laying in his bed in a comfortable position, right? But you have to create that discomfort in order to create that growth, right? Growth only happens through conflict. Growth happens through working. You have to work through things in order to grow. Like in therapy, if you feel good when you're in a therapy session, you're not really working. You're not really dealing with what's going on, right? You have to deal with that discomfort. So that's that thing again with procrastination. I think what you said was very, very hands-on. You have to create that discomfort in order to move forward. You know, when you're comfortable in your hometown, you know, in your neighborhood, you know, it's easy to be comfortable, and you don't want to do anything. Who wants to get up when they're comfortable? Who wants to move when they're comfortable? You know, you fall into that rut, and then you find yourself spinning your wheels, and 5 years later, you're still in the same spot.
Yep. Yes,
Yep.
sir.
So
True, man. Hey, tonight was good. Very, very good, man. Thank you guys, man. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank all of you out there on YouTube. Thank you for participating. You know, appreciate every single one of you also. Guys, another one in the book. Any one of you want to speak on some of our plans, or you rather just execute our plans and let everyone know? I know we have some ideas. You know, did you want to share anything, or you just want to just execute them and kind of come?
we'll execute them and they'll see it. We'll execute and they'll see it.
All right. All right.
So great show tonight, guys. Appreciate Avante and Big Marv. I don't want to say just Marvin. Big Marv.
Hey, listen,
joining us.
whatever you call me, Rod, is what I'll be, man.
You can say that.
You can call me the Great Houdini. You can call me
Mr.
Big
Bushikin.
Marv. You can call me Sensei. You can call me Mr. Bushikin. You can call me Suave the Don. You can call me Sincere. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. Yeah, y'all got a lot of aliases, man. You can call me Eve. You can call me T Eve. You can call me I don't know.
I call you Daddy. Chief Rocker, man. So stop.
Yeah, hey, you can call me Chief Rocker. You can call me Big Dog. You can call me. You know, I got a lot of them.
How about I call you Stop?
Nah. You can't call me Stop. There's no stop in my vocabulary. There's only
Yo,
go.
Marvin, you went. Oh man, Lord. But everybody, don't forget to smash the like button. We had a wonderful show tonight. A lot of great topics. And you know what? Giving yourself a raise, I think, is a very important topic we should look into, because I think a lot of times, you know, people need motivation to, like, when they hear other stories, how some people got ahead, not just by sticking around and enjoying, hey, New York got all the clubs and this and that, you know, Georgia, wherever you at, you know, and then you're mad at your career that you're not getting ahead. And then you wonder, you give yourself a raise. Man, I think that should be our next, one of our next subjects.
Well, me and Marv had spoke about our next subject for Friday, but that could definitely be one. Yeah, that could definitely be one. So we just have to decide which one we're gonna go with. But giving yourself a raise, I definitely think that's a very good one, because anything that we could do to continue to motivate ourselves as well as others is very, very productive. And that's what we want to do here. We want to be productive, you know. So that's great. Yep.
Sir. All right. So thank you, guys.
We're gonna make the announcement. Anitra first.
Go ahead.
Her coming in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rod, you got that?
No,
You
Ivante,
said-
go ahead. Go ahead.
Or,
Because
go ahead.
you want me to?
yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, I mean, we're gonna have Anitris back. That was the rider that was on for last week. Anitris Dowdy, right? I just want to make sure I get her last name correct.
Yeah, Dowdy, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna have her back. She's the one who wrote the Dream Teeny, and so if you guys missed it last week, definitely we're gonna have her back for this coming Wednesday, 8 o'clock, right? Sharp, more or
Yes.
less. 8
Yeah.
o'clock sharp.
8 o'clock Eastern Standard
Cool
Time.
deal. So
Yeah, we have to make
Gotcha.
sure we
So
say
make
Eastern
sure you're
Standard Time. Yeah, because remember,
Yes.
most of our audience
Eastern
is
Standard
from
Time.
the
So
island.
make sure you're there. Oh, okay, I got you. All right, so make sure you're there, and it'll be a good conversation. Last time she had some problems with the internet, but obviously because of the storm, the hurricane in New York, but this time there won't be any of that. So hopefully we'll have a great conversation with her, and she's good spirits, and she's got a lot of information. So hopefully we see all you guys there.
Okay.
Yep. Marv, anything?
Yes. Make sure you tune in. Sunday we got the game. Wednesday we got Nitris, and Friday we got the conversations. So come in if you want to be a part of the show. If you think you have something valuable, let us know. We will accept a guest host every now and then with some exceptions. But we love to hear you on the platform. And if there's anything that you feel like we need to talk about, let us know. We'll be more than happy to discuss it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. So everybody, have a good night. About to end the live. We'll see you on Sunday. Let's see.